Player 2 has joined the game.
Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 346 of the Two Player Co-op Podcast. As always, I'm one of your hosts here, Kevin, joined this week by my brother from my other mother, Mr. James Solar. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Fantastic. Glad to have you here. Sean is not here. If you couldn't tell, Sean is actually on a cruise right now. I hate him very much. But if this is the first time you're ever seeing, hearing, or listening to us, this is the Two Player Co-op Podcast, where just about every week, except last week, two brothers or brothers from other mothers get together to tell you everything you need to know about in the world of video games. If you like that, make sure you like the video, subscribe, share it with your friends, family, and everyone in betwixt. If you only listen on audio services, that's cool too. Just give us a 5-star review, thumbs up, or whatever your service allows. If you really like us, you can go to patreon.com/2playercoop, where we got a lot of different benefits, but the most popular tier is the producer tier, which allows you to watch us record the podcast live on YouTube, as James and I are doing right now, even when we're remote. You also get a bonus episode every month, which Sean and I need to record when he comes back. And if you missed the live stream, you do get the podcast live on YouTube one day early as well. Some of our patrons deserve a shout out, just like our patron saint, John Tingley. Also, our affiliates, Derek Bamford, James Solar. Make sure you check out James Games and More on YouTube as well. He's a very brave man playing through Super Luigi U, because I all the props to him.
I'm almost done with it now.
I know. I couldn't do it. That video you sent in Discord today just gave me, it's going to give me nightmares. Sarah Solar and Mom also. Also our producers, Steve Appleton, Aunt Sue, Dustin Downs, and Chris Peralta. Also make sure you check out PS Rewind on YouTube as well. If you like cool t-shirts and the like, you can always go to teespring.com/stores/2playercoop. Blah, 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 blah. Maybe I put it down there. Maybe I didn't. So yeah, Sean. Oh, that was weird. OBS just disconnected and reconnected. That's weird.
You said he's on a cruise?
Sean is on a cruise. Nice. He and Brittany went on the Impractical Jokers cruise.
Oh yeah, I remember him talking about that. Where did that leave out of?
Miami, I believe.
Okay.
And they're going down to the Bahamas.
They flew down there?
Yeah.
Okay. How long would that drive have been if they'd driven?
Oh God. All the way down to Miami. From Memphis, it's about 7 hours to there. Probably 16, 17 hours. Something like
shoot.
That. It's a
that's
trip.
worse. That's worse than us. So we're in Texas, but we're not by like the water part of Texas. We're like Northwest Texas. So for us, cruises leave sometimes out of Corpus, sometimes out of Galveston. Either way, we're looking at about 8 or 9 hours driving, which is not terrible. But we also really don't do a whole lot of cruising.
No, we went on one with my, the wife and I and the kids. We went over Thanksgiving of 22. God, I can't believe that was like a year and a half ago. And that left out of New Orleans, and that's like a 7-hour drive. So that's not too bad. It's a easy drive. I'd never been to New Orleans. We spent one night there. That was fun. And then got on the cruise next morning. So
nice.
It was good.
And I guess he would have left probably like this weekend, probably like Sunday.
He left. What day is it now?
Tuesday.
Saturday. He left Sunday and he gets back Friday, I think.
Okay, cool.
So yeah. But James, I see you have entered some stuff on a rundown here.
I did.
You want to talk about a Starbucks guy?
I do want to talk about a Starbucks guy. So, I didn't work at like my real job today. I was off, but I did go to my local Starbucks, which I do a lot. I like Starbucks. There's a guy who has decided that he works at the Starbucks. Not that he's like a barista, but he has decided that this Starbucks is like his office, which is like fine if you are someone like me who goes in with headphones in and sits in the corner. But this guy is like on his laptop having like Zoom meetings and standing up and giving like presentations and stuff in the middle of this Starbucks. And I've seen this guy there doing this like multiple times. And it's like, surely like it can't be that like his internet went out or something like that. And so I don't know what's wrong with this guy. And I just
Wow.
I was one of the girls that works at the Starbucks was telling me that like they think that he has like a whole bunch like either like a new baby or something at home that he can't like work from home. And I can't imagine that working at home with a baby would be worse than working in the middle of a
No,
crowded Starbucks. Like
that would have
I
to be a
can't
really bad, loud baby for that to make any sense.
it just seems so bizarre to me that I cannot imagine what this guy is going through that he thought this was a good idea.
It makes me think of there was a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode where Larry David is out to lunch and he's sitting next to a guy on a Bluetooth headset who's out to lunch by himself. And he is just talking so loudly to his friend on the phone to the fact that Larry David gets so annoyed and he's like looking around at people like, can you believe this? So Larry David just starts pretending like he's having a conversation with someone that he's talking to on a Bluetooth. And the guy is like, hey, you're being kind of loud. He's like, oh, yeah, you don't like it when people are loud when you're trying to enjoy lunch, huh? It was just fantastic. And that's
It's pretty much
what it
the
made
same
me think
thing.
of. Yeah. Fantastic. I love that.
Um,
You have
yeah,
a
so that was something
Gear
I wanted to bring up
question?
just because I thought it was kind of fair. Metal Gear question mark. So I asked in the Discord and nobody really answered me. Have you by any
Oh, I
chance
might have
checked
missed it.
out the Metal Gear whatever the Metal Gear Master Collection Volume 1?
I have not yet. I did get it for Christmas, but
I saw that it was on sale, and so I was thinking about checking it out. And then I thought I had heard something about it not really about part of it not controlling well or running well, and I didn't really know what that meant as somebody who's never really played those games before. And I tried looking online to see if somebody could just tell me like how bad in a state it is. And from
Yeah.
what I've heard, like the main complaints online seem to be that like people are upset that if you buy it on disc, it's only a couple of the games and not all of them actually on disc, which I don't really care about. But I don't know. I was wondering if you knew anything about that.
So everything I've heard, because I follow so many, obviously, Metal Gear accounts on Twitter,
Right.
Metal Gear fans, all this stuff, buddies that I've found throughout the years that I've never met in real life, but we all love Metal Gear. It seems like, first off, do not buy it on Switch because no matter what they do,
Right.
the Switch version is just horrible.
Right. Yeah, I would either get it on PS5, probably PS5 if I thought Sarah was going to have any interest in playing it, or maybe also on Xbox just since I played Metal Gear Solid 5 over on Xbox.
Yeah.
But while on the topic, so I'll wait for you, I guess, to check that out and let me know.
Well, from what I've
there.
heard, so from what I know, they're up to version 1.4 now. So when it first came out, there was a lot of issues with it. They've, God bless Konami, in these 3-4 months since it came out, whatever it's been, they've been updating it a lot, making fixes.
I remember
they're doing a lot to it.
I want to say that on Sacred Symbols or something, they had talked about like frame rate issues that one of the games would run at like 15 frames a second. But I was curious if that was the kind of thing that if I'm going into it knowing that it's going to be an old game and it's probably going to have like tank controls and not really feel that great, but I still kind of want to get that experience, if that was something that I would be able to just kind of overlook, especially since really that entire series, both really Metal Gear and Metal Gear Solid, but people just go on and on, you included, about how great they are.
So what I would say is, other than maybe there's still some minor technical issues with it that I'm just not aware of, the only thing that I see people still complaining about is really just for super hardcore fans that know literally everything that is there to know about every Metal Gear game that has ever, because they've had to change like some of the cutscenes have like
for licensing
footage
and stuff, right?
Exactly. There's some sound effects in like menus and stuff that don't sound how they're supposed to. It's little things like that that super Metal Gear nerds are just nitpicking about.
Right. Because I remember the Metal Gear HD collection, which was on, what was it, PS3, Vita, and Xbox 360. People are saying that that's still the best way to play the games, which stinks if you're on a PS5. But
exactly. But no, I mean, I'm just going to be so happy when and what I'll probably do is I'll probably start playing through it after I get through the game I'm playing now, which I'll talk about in a few minutes, which I freaking love. I'll probably jump into it then, play through 1, maybe 2, before. Oh yeah, that's right. Good point, John. If you play it on Xbox, you can just pick up the HD collection, so you don't even have to get the Master Collection. But now that doesn't come with Metal Gear Solid 1. That's just 2, 3,
right.
and I forget if it comes with Peace Walker on Xbox or not. But yeah, I think I'll probably jump into the collection finally, in the downtime I'll have between this game and between when Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes out at the end of next month.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
And it comes out on the 29th.
I feel like everybody's talking about all these games that they're excited for. And I'm just like, man, I don't really know. I guess the next thing I'm looking forward to is like Mario versus Donkey Kong. Like,
yeah.
Because like I'm not a JRPG guy, I'm not like a Dragon or like a Yakuza fan.
Same.
So it's like I don't know. I'm sure that there are games coming out that I'm kind of forgetting about, but yeah, been just kind of enjoying going back into the backlog. And then related to Metal Gear, there was one other thing that I was interested if you'd be able to do. So you might remember the very first video that I ever saw, you and Sean, y'all were ranking the Legend of Zelda series, and it started out with you challenging Sean to list every Zelda game in release order.
Wow.
From the whenever, like 1985 to the present, which would have been like 2016, 2017 at the time. So I was wondering, do you think you can do this with Metal Gear?
Oh yeah. I mean, it goes
because I have the Wikipedia page open, but it has some spin-offs and stuff there too. And I was also hoping that some of these, I know a lot of them are remakes and a lot of them are re-releases, so that you could kind of tell me like, what is this? Do I need to play this? And that kind of stuff too.
So actually, I don't know that I could do it because I don't know when the NES games came out. And then there's there's the Acid games. Well, I'll give it a shot. So there's Metal Gear on the MSX. Then there's Metal Gear on the NES. Then there's Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake on the MSX. Then there's Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake on the NES, which is a completely different game. Not even Kojima had nothing to do with it.
Is that the one that gets listed? It might be listed on here as Snake's Revenge.
Snake's Revenge, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
both of those. It has them as 1990 Snake's Revenge, and then also Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. And so those are completely different. Those are like how y'all the verses y'all used to do when it's like, oh, this is the Genesis version, and it's just a completely different game.
Yeah, so Snake's Revenge, Kojima had literally nothing to do with. They were just like, ooh, people like that first game, let's make another one. He's like, no, I don't want it. But they wanted it to be more action focused and stuff, I think. So he said no. And then after that, it's 1998 was Metal Gear Solid. 2001 was Metal Gear Solid 2. 2004.
It had... Yeah, there are two spin-offs in the middle there.
Ghost Babel was like 98, maybe?
2000.
Wow.
And then it has Metal Gear Solid VR Missions. What is that?
Oh, that was a separate disc that they put out on PS1. Yeah, that came out after. And then they did the Metal Gear Solid Integral. That's true. So they did that version of Metal Gear Solid. And then Metal Gear Solid 2, after that came out, they did the Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance version, which added like Snake skateboarding and stuff like that.
Okay, that one's actually not listed on here.
Okay.
Wait, what is... And then I think the next one you're going to mention is the one I want to ask about.
Subsistence?
No, something after that.
Metal Gear Acid?
Oh, before that.
Well,
Acid, it has that listed after 3.
Yeah. Okay.
But before 3, there was something else.
Something before 3. Because Portable Ops was later on.
Did you say Twin Snakes?
Oh no! See, that doesn't.
What is that?
Count. True fans just blocked that out. So that is the GameCube remake of the original Metal Gear Solid. With Metal Gear Solid with a new engine. It looks good and stuff, but the cutscenes are all completely different. They're like just bananas with like Snake is doing backflips and cartwheels and all this weird stuff.
Okay.
But
So of those two, so when trying to play Metal Gear 1, play the original, don't
Play the
play
original.
Twin Snakes.
yeah, because
Okay.
the second one is too easy because they added the first person aiming that Metal Gear Solid 2 has, and
I
that
guess
just it makes it way too easy.
right. Actually, I remember someone I was listening to had mentioned that the game's not designed for you to be able to
Exactly.
just be able to aim like that.
I
Which
mean
one
it
is in the Master Collection?
the original.
Okay, so they would know.
Yeah.
They,
Yeah, no twin snakes. Now, a lot of people are wondering if that might show up in Volume 2, but really the
right,
only thing anybody cares about for Volume 2 is Metal Gear Solid 4.
right. Since 5 is already natively available.
Exactly. There's no point in putting that in a collection. But okay, so yeah, Metal Gear Solid 3,
Right. Acid, which you already
Acid,
mentioned.
Metal Gear Solid 4, Acid 2. Or no, did Acid 2 come out before Metal Gear Solid 4?
It says Acid 2004, Acid 2 2005, and then a portable game, Metal Gear Solid
Portable
Portable
Ops
Ops.
in 2007.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, so that was
And
a
then
non that
it
was
has
an
Portable Ops 2006, Portable Ops
okay,
Plus 2007.
that's right. And
I don't
then
know. I don't know what any of these are.
so Portable Ops is that's one thing that nerds like me, it is not a quote unquote Hideo Kojima game. Okay.
Okay.
So there's debates on whether or not what happens in that game with Snake in 1970 actually should be considered part of the canon of Metal Gear.
Okay.
Konami has put out stuff saying that they've put out timelines in the past that have said it both ways, that it does count and it doesn't count. But
Okay.
most people say it doesn't really count because Kojima didn't make it. And I've never played it. I don't really care to, because Portable Ops is a decent game, but it's kind of like Peace Walker and 5, to where one of the big parts is building up your army. However,
Right.
this was before they thought of the whole Fulton parachute recovery thing. In Portable Ops, instead of just hooking people up to a parachute and there they go, you have to knock somebody out, pick them up, drag them back to the beginning of the level, and put them in a truck. I'm like, no,
All right.
no, not doing it. Not doing it. But yeah, so then 4 comes out in 2008. Peace Walker comes out in 2010.
Yes.
Rising Revengeance is 2010 also, I think.
On here it says 2013 for that one.
Okay, I was going to say 2013, but I thought that sounded too late.
PS3
And 360.
360.
And then it's God, I can't believe that came out so close to Ground Zeroes comes out in 2014, and then Phantom Pain in 2015, and then stupid Metal Gear Survive in 2018.
Yeah, I remember you guys, you mostly going on and on about Metal Gear Survive and how much it sucked.
It's horrible. I mean, I went into it wanting to hate it, but I played the beta and it was just was just ridiculous.
So Ground Zeroes, I know it's not, I've played it. I know it's not a full game. When it came out, did people know that it was just kind of like a primer, or what did it cost? Like,
it was originally going to come out for $40 on PS4, but then Konami dropped it down to 30. So you knew it was not. You knew it wasn't a $60 release. But
it's like a 30-minute thing though. Like,
well, I mean, speedrunners do it in like 4 minutes. I think the fastest I ever probably did it was like probably around 30 minutes. But there's extra missions in there.
Okay, so I guess if you're doing everything, it could be more.
You get 5 to 6 hours out of it. Yeah. But I mean, like,
okay,
you look at like, but if you get the Metal Gear Solid 5 Definitive Edition, where you can usually get that for like $10 now, that comes with Ground Zero. So
right. It was weird. It was a little weird to me when I played it back in, I don't know, 2018, 2019. That Ground Zeroes being so small did get its own like physical release, because it didn't seem like it almost seemed like, I don't know, it seemed like it would have been like a pre-order bonus or something.
Well, so it was supposed to all be one game. Okay. Ground Zeroes was going to be the first part of Phantom Pain before you even do the hospital stuff. Konami, though, was like, holy shit, how long is it going to take you to make Metal Gear Solid 5, Kojima? And he's like, well, I'm not done yet. So they said, okay, we got to recoup some money on this. So that's why Konami made the decision to put out Ground Zeroes separately.
That's so weird.
Yeah, to try to recoup some money. And then a year and a half later, Phantom Pain came out on September 1st, 2015.
All right.
A day I'll never forget.
First half of that game is really good.
Yeah, I still love it, the way it plays, but the story, I mean, the twist I love because it does make stuff make sense in the original games, but it just the way the story was told throughout the game is definitely not my favorite. But that's
Right.
They wanted to go open world, and the storytelling suffered because of that. I wish if they could have a redo, they would just make it a Metal Gear
2015, they probably would have started development on the game at what, like 2010, 2011, 2012.
Yeah,
and that's when
probably. I think it was 2010. In 2012, they showed off the first look at Ground Zeroes.
Yeah.
And that first trail, I was like, I can't believe we're getting another Metal Gear game. This is crazy. But yeah.
All right. Good job.
So that's your history lesson on Metal Gear.
I'll get there eventually. That the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection, I'd like to maybe check that out like later this year.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever, I don't know, when it feels right.
Yeah.
But I don't really want to commit to anything yet.
All right. And now you've got Switch 2 on here.
I did. Yeah. The last thing that I put on there, I had a thought earlier, and I was just wondering what you I wanted to run this by you, kind of see what you were thinking about it. So you remember the Wii and how monumental it was, and how people who had never even, everybody's grandma wanted to buy a Wii, and it seemed like everybody on the planet wanted to get a Wii and play all these games and do all this stuff. And then Nintendo launched the Wii U, and it was just absolutely terrible. That there was a marketing issue, that people didn't really understand what it was, that people didn't know that it was something separate, that they thought it was just like a gamepad attachment for the Wii.
Yep.
And so my question for you is there an unfortunate scenario where Nintendo makes the same mistakes again by calling this like something that's not blatantly obvious to the average person that it is a new Switch entirely?
Yes, but I think the biggest, and every time I tell myself, no, they can't do this, but then I'm like, wait, it's Nintendo. They've done this a billion times. Mm-hmm. The bigger thing I'm worried about, because I assume they're going to call it, man, I hope they call it the Super Switch, like the Super Nintendo.
Right.
My God. Or the Switch 2. Yeah, we've all been calling it that, and people are like, that sounds dumb. I'm like, PlayStation's been doing that forever.
Yeah.
But I do think you can't just call it the Switch 4K or the Switch Pro or the Switch.
Right.
It's got to be a 2 or a Super or something that lets you know it's different. But I think the biggest worry that I have is the backwards compatibility. Now, I mean, they've been saying stuff about Nintendo accounts. That's how we're going to do stuff in the future, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
I got to think, I do think the new Switch will also have carts. They'll either be the same cart, or the thing will have 2 kind of slots or something, so that you can play
or
both.
It'll be like they did with the 3DS, that the 3DS games had an extra little thing on them that the 3DS games couldn't fit in a normal DS, which so Wii to Wii U, they did the same thing with DS to 3DS, that when the 3DS came out, people didn't realize that there were like actual 3DS games. They thought it was just a Nintendo DS that could play games in 3D. And so a lot of people, myself included, were like, why would I want to do that?
Well, and then after the 3DS, they put out a 2DS to really confuse
which was
people.
Also very confusing.
And that thing was just like a big, I'm like, why would you not make it?
It was foldable? A piece of toast.
Yeah, it's so weird. But no, I mean, I gotta think we're going to hear about it sometime soon, and I gotta think they're going to do the right thing.
Right.
I
agree. I think with the Wii specifically, what drew people to the Wii wasn't actually, it didn't really seem like it was really like the games, and like it seemed like it was more of just like a trend, and that people kind of fell in love with the gimmick of like waving their arms around in their living room. to play games with each other, and you couldn't really convert that into a like audience for a home console. And so I do think that the one thing that the Switch has going for it is that it is truly, I mean, it's portable, but it is also truly a home console.
Yeah. Well, and also with the Switch, I mean, not with the Switch, with the Wii Sports, it's still one of my favorite games of all time. And it's
Right.
one of the best. It's just one of the biggest games of all time. And that's why. I mean, you literally had it. I know it's cliche to say and everything, but you literally had people in nursing homes with Nintendo Wii's playing bowling and stuff because it was that accessible. It was that easy. And it just sold like I can remember my brother Sean got it for Christmas in 06, the year it came out. I remember my mom saying she called Best Buy and they said, we're getting some in this day, but if you want one, you're going to have to come wait in line because we never get enough. She was standing outside of Best Buy at like 4 a.m. or something on the day they were going to get a shipment so she could get him a Wii. But all the 120 million people bought it, whatever it was.
Right.
But so many of them just wanted Wii Sports. And after that, they're like, whatever. I don't care. I don't even play Mario, whatever. And then, the Wii U was so stupid. It just, not that it was a bad system. It had some great games on it, but they just called it the wrong thing.
Right. I feel like you don't hear with the Wii. I'd be interested to hear about like attach rate for games and stuff, because I feel like every single Switch game, it seems like every Switch game is just selling like, oh, such and such game just passed 30 million. Like, and
yeah, I'm still waiting.
I feel like that is a good sign as far as meaning that people are actually in it for the games and not because like grandma in the nursing home wants to like work on her tennis swing or something. Like,
yeah, that's for sure. I don't think they can screw up the Switch 2. I really don't think they can. The only thing they could switch, I mean, I thought they screwed up the original Switch when they announced it and they said that was the name. I was like, Switch? And now I can't imagine calling it anything else.
Right.
Especially because the code name was the NX, and that just sounded so friggin' cool. It was N for Nintendo, X because it's a cross between home and portable and everything. I was like, they should have just called it the NX, whatever. But yeah, hopefully they don't screw it up.
It blows my mind that the Wii U, I feel like even if you don't market it or anything, it only sold 12 million units.
I was going to say 12
me?
or 13, yeah.
Like,
even with the Nintendo name and even bundling Mario games with it,
even with, I mean, I guess there was no new like 3D Mario on there except for Super Mario 3D World.
But that was later on, I think.
That's with the Twilight Princess HD and Wind Waker HD both on there. And
that's where I played Twilight Princess. I freaking loved it after I got past all the goat herding at the beginning.
Yeah, Twilight Princess was the first game I played on my Wii in 2006.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it was the flipped version of the GameCube version because they knew more people are right-handed, so they wanted Link to be right-handed, so they just were like, "Oh, you know what? We'll just flip." Well,
they wanted you to control the remote with they wanted you to control the sword with the remote in your right hand.
Yeah.
And which makes sense, but which I actually didn't even know. I knew that it was I knew that the GameCube version was reverse, but I had always thought for some reason that they flipped the GameCube version. I didn't realize that they actually flipped the Twilight Princess or the Wii.
Yeah. Link's in canon he's left-handed, but then the funny thing is in Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, he's right-handed. But I mean, there's a million different Links and everything. So
yeah, but then in Skyward Sword, he's also right-handed, which
for the same reason.
Even though it was executed much worse 5 years later.
I never got it. When I got it, that was $60 I wasted on the Switch.
I remember.
I didn't get past the first dungeon. I was like, even with the new controls, I hate this combat. Like, I don't want to have to use the right stick. I either got to use motion or I got to use the right stick. And like, if he does this, then I come here. But if he does this, then I go down. I'm like, I can't. So
that the combat in that game is such a burden, which is funny too, because when I played it when it came to Switch, I realized that there's really not a lot of combat in the game, and it still feels like such a burden.
Yeah.
And I probably still have it on my computer somewhere. I wrote out a really long like review and like critique of the game that if I had sat down and I wanted to make a video review of it, that probably would have been like a 15 to 20 minute just me like talking about everything
Just
wrong with this game.
excoriating it,
And like
yeah.
there is stuff in there that I thought was good too, but
The story's awesome. That's the best part of it. It's I think
ended
Tears of the Kingdom story is awesome, but I mean, Skyward Sword, if you said that was the best Zelda story ever, I can't argue.
right. I don't even know what happened to that. I think I ended up just not even sitting down to record it. I was like, I really just want to move on from this game.
That's I man, I can't believe. And I didn't even want to try to like sell it on eBay or
But-
I'm like, no, just I take my $60 loss and move on.
I don't know if it was the last time that I was on with you and Sean, or maybe 2 or 3 times ago. It was before they had announced Skyward Sword HD coming to Switch. You had either you or Sean had mentioned that you wanted it to be on there, and I told you like I don't think it'll work. I don't think like the way.
Oh yeah, I remember that. And it did not work.
Lo and behold, it really did.
And IGN gave the original game a 10. Wow.
I remember that.
Wow.
Which I don't know if it actually did control better on the original Wii, or if I just didn't know better because I would have been, I don't know, pretty much a child.
2 years old
I
in 2010.
No, I would have been, I don't know, I would have been 15, 16.
Yeah.
So.
Or no, that was 2011, I think, right?
Mhm.
2011. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was probably junior, senior in high school.
God.
But going home and playing on my Wii.
I was 8 years out of college. Unbelievable. All right. I like that. I like these talks. All right. So let's move on to what we've been playing. James, I'll let you go first. You've been playing a few different games from a a wide range of different titles, I would say.
So I only had 2 of them on there, and then I went ahead and added one just because I wanted to talk about it, because I wanted to ask you a question about it.
Okay.
I'll take them in the order that they are on there. First off, new Super Luigi U. I had such a fun time with Super Mario Bros. Wonder.
Oh, okay.
That I wanted to kind of I wanted to play another 2D Mario, but I didn't want to play one that I've played a whole bunch, and I also kind of wanted to play it on YouTube and just kind of get some Let's Plays out there. Yep. which I've been doing. I had one go up this morning that I don't know why these new Super Luigi U Let's Plays are doing pretty well for me. But overall, I would say I'm having fun. I'm having fun with it, but there was a little stretch where in my own like real life, I was playing Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and then for YouTube, I was playing new Super Luigi U. And so the first couple worlds of Super Luigi U, I was like, I cannot do this.
No, completely
like you're just
different.
slipping around so much. It was really I think you had mentioned in one of the Mario Mondays the Luigi's like flutter kick that he does.
Mm-hmm.
The flutter kick really doesn't bother me, which when I played Super Mario Bros. Wonder, that flutter kick was my favorite badge.
Mm-hmm.
I unlocked that thing and I kept it on the entire game. But in Super Luigi U, it has the same problem as Super Mario Bros. U, which is that everything is so slippery that you stop holding the walk button and Mario doesn't actually stop. Like in the air, like that they focus too much on it being like momentum based, and it's like to where the whole thing feels like you're on ice, and that you can't actually, something can be coming at you super slow and it'll hit you, and even if you like hit buttons to try to move out of the way, and it just gets so frustrating because it doesn't feel like you are playing the game badly. It feels like the game just can't do what you want it to do.
Yep.
But new Super Luigi U, I definitely wouldn't recommend playing it right after Super Mario Bros. Wonder.
No.
But one of the things that I do really like is that in Super Luigi U, all the levels are really short.
Yeah.
It only gives you 100 seconds per
Yeah.
level. And then if you're in like a castle or something that has a boss at the end, when you get to the door, it'll give you an additional 100 seconds to fight the boss.
Yeah.
So you'll go in there with probably about 2 minutes. I really like the short and like bite-sized levels, and that sometimes it does really feel like these little short levels, this was like the original Super Mario Bros. Wonder, that like that same energy. It feels like this is kind of where it started, and then they were like, hey, let's make a whole game that's like this craziness.
Nuts.
But then I don't know, the physics are just not ideal. I'll see it through to completion. I think I just finished World 7, the Meringue Clouds. I honestly don't remember how many worlds there are, and I also know in some of the Mario games you can't even access the final world. I think that was an issue in 3D World, that you can't even access the last world unless you do a whole bunch of stuff. And if I get to that point, it's like, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Nope.
In 3D World, we never finished it because we hadn't been doing any of the Captain Toad levels, and then I
remember that because y'all didn't have a gamepad.
Yeah, I was like, oh,
I almost mailed you guys my Wii U.
I was just like, why? I'm like, well, I guess that's the end of it. So,
which is funny because the Captain Toad levels are the best thing about 3D World.
Well, we did. I mean, I still got the gamepad for it. I just didn't. We were just like, nah, I don't want to do this. We just kept playing. Had no idea that we were going to get to.
Well, it wouldn't be fun to record to do that as a Let's Play, because the Captain Toad section you play on the gamepad, and you can't record the gamepad. So you would be looking at an empty screen.
So yeah.
Unless you're gonna have one of your kids play it between takes or something. Like, it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, just to get the puzzle pieces or whatever the hell it is. But yeah, no, I completely agree. I used to really love, and I still do, like New Super Mario Bros. Wii. I loved. New Super Mario U, I really liked. I liked the Switch version better because you didn't have to worry. You didn't have the whole gimmick with, somebody can control the gamepad and they can just put the blocks everywhere. And it's
I forgot about that.
Yeah. But I mean, Mario Wonder, it's the best 2D Mario since World. And in my mind, it's not even close.
Super Mario Bros. New Super Mario Bros. Wii, did it have the same slipping problem?
Yes. It did, but I don't think
that game here somewhere. Maybe I'll play that.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely.
I've got my Wii U connected.
It still feels different than Mario Wonder for sure, but the little bit that I've played of Luigi U is just burned into my memory that was even more egregious.
Maybe I'll go and try New Super Mario Bros. U and see if it's, because in my mind, the slipperiness in Luigi U are the same. But I don't really know if that's true.
Yeah. And it might just be that when we played through them, because it was all I knew, we didn't have Wonder yet, that you just get used to it. But
I didn't know. Well, you say that. So I grew when did World come out?
91. It was at the launch.
Okay. So Super Mario Bros. Wonder is the only good controlling 2D Mario game that's come out during my life.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. What year were you born?
94.
94. Well, I mean, some people would tell you Yoshi's Island, but I
never played that one.
That game. It's not a Mario game.
Yeah.
It's
I never had an SNES.
Yeah.
I had an NES with the Mario trilogy that I inherited, but even then, by the time I was getting into games and stuff, like the Nintendo 64 was out, and we were moving into like the PS2 and GameCube, and it was like, those are old. Like those.
Yeah.
um, yeah. Maybe I know that all the NES games are on Nintendo Switch Online. So I would like to go back and kind of visit some of those older Mario games that I missed out on. And I've been wanting to, I don't know, I remember y'all talking about Super Mario Bros. U and how like slippery it is and stuff, and just not understanding like what y'all were talking about. Because for me, I was like, what, like every Mario game is like this. What are y'all?
Yeah.
And so I even want to go back to like Super Mario Bros. Maker and
Oh, yeah.
and play some of the like play some of those levels again, and kind of, because since even when I was making Mario levels, the only Mario that I was familiar with was
3D
New
World.
Super Mario Bros. So that
Oh,
was
yeah.
always the layout I would choose, and I didn't understand why people would ever choose like Mario 3 or Mario 1 or any of those.
What's up, John? Yeah, you should definitely give it a try. I have thought about that going every once in a while it pops in my mind that I kind of want to play through the Mario Maker 2, the 100 level single player campaign again. I mean, a lot of them are super
Right.
easy, but I still had a lot of fun with it.
With that, I remember the most exciting thing being that we had actual real Mario levels made by Nintendo,
Yeah.
and a lot of them were really good.
I got so annoyed, like if you died a couple times, Luigi would be like, "Hey, do you want me to turn on God mode or whatever?" And I was like, "Shut up, get out of here."
Do you need to show you how it's done? Like,
yeah. Stupid Luigi.
So the next game that I have written down is Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which I did play Star Wars Jedi Survivor at launch. You might remember that I originally played it on Xbox. I had been wanting to go and replay it and play it again. And so for Christmas, I got Star Wars Jedi Survivor on PS5, and I had a really great time with it. And this might be crazy with all the games that came out last year. I think Star Wars Jedi Survivor is my game of the year for 2023. Which is funny because most people don't even mention it in their like top 50. But
it's all recency bias. I mean, I had it at what, 6 or 7 on mine, but that's just because it was such a crazy year. But it's also because when I was playing it on PS5, 150 friggin' gig game, and my performance was garbage. Whether I played it, it didn't matter if I was in performance mode or quality mode. It was ridiculous. And they did so many patches, and there was so much screen tearing that I was like, this just completely detracts from the experience.
I don't think I ever had any screen tearing.
Sean didn't either.
When I was playing it on Xbox. And then by the time I played it on PS5, they would have patched all that stuff out, I think. I'm starting to think it's possible that I just might not notice these really terrible performance issues that everybody has, or I just have really good luck and I never have these issues.
Yeah, I mean, Sean didn't have it on PS5, so it's clearly not a every PS5 kind of thing. Just like some PS5s would not play Returnal.
Right. And I know that some of the Ubisoft games are around the launch of PS5 and Series X were supposed to have really bad screen tearing as well.
Oh my god,
Assassin's Creed Valhalla,
Watch Dogs
Legion.
Oh my god, it was horrible. it was that screen tearing was even worse than Jedi
I remember
Survivor.
You talking about that one, that you would be driving and try to turn the camera and it would like freeze up almost, which I feel like I would notice something like that.
Yeah, it was egregious.
But so Star Wars Jedi Survivor, I just loved that it just feels so Star Wars, which it's the only game from last year. So I played it and got I got all the achievements on Xbox, and then I let it sit for probably 6 months or so. And then I went back and then I got the platinum on PlayStation, platinum number 42.
You're catching up to me.
I know you're at like 100.
I'm at 101, but there's so many cheap platinums in there that shouldn't even count.
But I enjoyed it so much the first time. I had a really great time with the story. I really loved that the story didn't just they could have just completely rehashed the story of the first one again, and they didn't do that. They went in a unexpected direction, for what I thought was an unexpected direction. And I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it just as much the second time. So when we go into like the Game of the Year discussion, the reason that I choose that over Tears of the Kingdom was that Tears of the Kingdom, I finished the story and I was having a really great time with it. Tears of the Kingdom was the only game I wanted to play for probably like 3 or 4 weeks. And then I finished the story and I got to a point where it's like, okay, I don't know how to get the rest of the shrines. I'm going to have to look them up. And I was like, I don't want to do that. And then I stopped playing and I never played it again. And so I was so deeply invested in Tears of the Kingdom, but then I also fell off of it so hard just because, I mean, we play games to have fun. And so why did 100%ing one game sound fun, but then looking up how to 100% another game not really sound fun? I don't know.
It could, honestly, this is why Nintendo needs some kind of trophy system. I would not be surprised if that's what it is in the back of your head, because I was actually explaining this
I would
to
have
my
absolutely
wife.
done it if I did all the shrines in Breath of the Wild for nothing.
Okay.
And I don't know why for Tears of the Kingdom I was just like I'm just kind of over it.
Yeah.
But in Star Wars Jedi Survivor, did you didn't platinum it, did you?
No, because I couldn't take it anymore. Something else came out.
Oh,
it might have been Final Fantasy, or it might have been Bat Boy actually that I started playing. I can't remember. I know. But I wanted to get the platinum. Sean got it, but I was just like,
I remember he got it.
Yeah, I was so annoyed at all of the friggin' just the tech issues that I was having that I was just like, I can't do this. I can't do this anymore. But I know it's fixed now, so I may still go back and
at this point. I don't even know it, because I know you've probably finished the story and everything.
Yeah.
At this point, though, I don't even know if it would be fun to even go back, just because it's been so long. You'd kind of have to relearn all the controls and stuff again, and all this. I do think it is a surprisingly deep combat system as far as like the different stances and the combos and everything that you can do. One thing that I wanted to bring up, which, did you by any chance get to the end of the bounty hunter storyline?
No, but I know what happens.
So that storyline specifically is something that I think is so cool. How in the beginning of the game, you kind of think one thing is going on. You think this character is kind of around to help you. And then throughout the game, the character is kind of like urging you on to keep going like further and further. And then later on in the game, you find out that this character was actually kind of like setting you up from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just thought it just felt so right as like as like a bounty hunter quest line to me. Like, I don't know, something about like the like criminal underworld of Star Wars, it just really fit that for me. And when I was playing it again, that story, that like little like side quest was something that really stuck out to me, that I was like, man, I just love, like, this is the Star Wars that I want more of, that might be pretty Outlaws. Confidently.
I said that might be Outlaws, that
I hope so.
Yeah.
That I can pretty confidently say that Jedi Survivor, probably Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor, are the peak of Disney Star Wars for me.
Yeah.
It also helps that they're set right in that middle area of like the reign. Like, I'll enjoy any Star Wars that's set during the reign of the Empire. That once you really go past Episode 6, I don't really care. And once you go before like Order 66, I don't. I'm kind of like
Yeah.
But it's right in that sweet spot of like Vader's out in the world being a menace, and that's like I'll just eat it up. I love seeing the Empire, and Um, anyway, we don't really need to go on and on about Star Wars Jedi Survivor. And then the last one that I'll just talk about real quick is
A
Ryse.
launch game for Xbox One.
Ryse Son of
world?
Rome. So I was looking for something after finishing Jedi Survivor. I was like, I have these other games that I want to kind of get into. I have some other bigger ones, and I finished it. I finished Jedi Survivor probably, I don't know, the 12th or 13th of January. And so I was like, I don't want to start anything huge because I know that on January 19th, a game that I left off of my list because I don't want to discuss it with you, was going to be coming out again.
Yeah. I don't want to get into it. Yeah.
Again. I was like, I don't really want to start anything huge before Last of Us Part 2 Remastered comes out, because I know I'm going to want to kind of be in that, which I will go ahead and say I jumped into that just for a little bit. I played probably about 2 hours, and then I was like, all right, I think I'm going to take a break, and I haven't gone back to it since then. So I'll probably I was playing it with a collectible guide so that I can get all the trophies for it. I'll probably just continue to pick at it over the next month or so. But Ryse Son of Rome, I was looking through Game Pass and I saw that one on there, and this is one that I always hear people talk really positively about it, and I know that it's supposed to have a pretty good combat system. It's just like a stereotypical third person action game of that if you could play like a arcade rail shooter as like a Roman soldier, that is exactly what this game is. And then it's like you'll fight a whole bunch of guys, and it'll be you'll parry this guy, and then you'll stab him, and then you'll hit a combo, and you'll take out a whole bunch of guys at one time, and then you'll get to a section where you have like a quick time event or something. And it has a story. I'm really not following the story very much. I've probably only played 3 or 4, maybe like 3 hours of this game. But it seems really cool. I don't think if I had played it at the launch of the Xbox One, if I would have been very impressed.
The only thing I remember about
fun.
this game is when it came out, it was like the big example of how much more powerful the PS4 was than the Xbox One. Because this was, I remember this was running in 900p, and everybody just freaked out. I'm like, oh my God.
I don't know that 900p and 1080p, like, is there really that big of a difference? Like, there's a difference, but obviously, like, there is
if you're on a
difference.
gigantic, like 100-inch TV, then yeah. But other than that, no, you're not going to notice.
Even on like our normal TVs and stuff, I mean, there's a reason that we choose performance mode over picture mode, whatever the hell the other one's called. Thank you. And it's because the performance is a lot more noticeable, and that the difference between 4K and 1080p really isn't that like noticeable, unless you're in like photo mode and like doing all this stuff. But I've been having fun with it. I don't know that I would recommend it, but I would say that if somebody is curious about it, if somebody has an Xbox and they have Game Pass and they're curious about it, what's it gonna hurt to go and like download it?
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. I never would have guessed you were going to put Ryse Son of Rome on there for what you've been playing. That when I saw that, I was like, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. Right. I'd like to keep you guys on your toes, which your first game, I'm actually interested about both of yours.
Okay, so I don't really have much more to say about Powerwash Simulator. I freaking love it. I've put like 75 hours into this thing. It is ridiculous. It is my relaxing time. It is my Zen garden. It is my bonsai tree.
You know about the trophies, right?
So I've gotten every trophy in the game except the completing the story. I'm on the last level, but I'm not even going to start it until they patch it. So once they do, I'm going to do that super long, like 5-hour long level and get the platinum.
Wait, so you got the trophies for the challenges?
I did it. Yeah.
There was one, I tried the backyard like 4 or 5 times in a row, and it was like 30 minutes each time. And I was
know.
like, I've been trying this for 3 hours and I don't even feel like I've come close. Or it's like, it'll be like 95% clean and I haven't even passed the time for the gold. And then the last 5% will take me like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I got lucky. I actually did, to get the challenges, 3 of them I did were water based, which I didn't even think I was going to try. But then I started watching some videos about how to do the water based challenges on vehicles, and how if you just like go tss, 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 like you only use the trigger, you don't push, left on the D-pad, so the water's just going. You only use the trigger, so you shoot it whenever you want to. You got to be really strategic and all that. And then I got the time done finally on the golf cart. That probably took me 25 tries. I missed
but that's a little one. So like,
yeah, it was a minute and a half.
It's probably
yeah.
like, okay, it's probably like 2 minutes per attempt.
Yeah.
Whereas I was dumb that the one that I tried had like a 35-minute time.
So I ended up, the golf cart, I missed it one time by 0.24 seconds, and I was about to just break something. But I finally ended up getting it. I didn't do the backyard time challenge, but I did the house challenge. So I started it. I used the soap, doing all this, blah, 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 get around. The last thing I had to do was the roof and the gutters. And I realized I got it to about 97, 98%. I was like, damn. And then I realized, wait a minute, what if I go back and I start on the roof and I use all my soap up there? It's a big area, get everything clean. I ended up beating it by 2 or 3 minutes, I think, just by starting on the roof, using the soap on everything, getting the gutters done so that everything else I do is on the ground, and you don't have to worry about the ladders anymore. That's how I was able to get it. But I love Powerwash Simulator.
It's so good.
Once they fix the trophy and I get the platinum, I'm probably going to buy, because I got the game for free and I want to give these guys my money. I just want them to fix the platinum first. I'm going to buy the Back to the Future and do that. And the SpongeBob. This is going to end up being, when we do the PlayStation wrap up, it's going to be like, Kevin played 150 hours of Powerwash Simulator. It's my number 1 game. But I love it. It's not a lot more I can say.
Right.
But what I really... Yep, go ahead.
Once they fix the trophies, I'll probably get a little bit more into it. I want to say I got maybe like 3/4 of the way through the main missions, and I did most of, how it's like, oh, on this level, do clean this thing first. Yeah. Do you remember the treehouse?
Oh my God,
this level's huge.
Yeah.
There's a trophy to clean all the lanterns first.
Yep.
And I thought I had cleaned them all. And then I found out that I started cleaning other stuff. And then I found out that there was like one more. And then I was like, dang it. Well, I'm going to have to do that again, which I know that I can just do it first and pop it. But I was like, I can't figure out how to restart. I can't even figure out how to restart the level.
You can't restart a level. You can't restart a level. So you got to finish the level. And then what you can go to after that is go to free play. And then you can just do the lanterns, and then you can exit out of there.
So that kind of sucks. So that was kind of strike 1 for me.
Yeah.
And then I got to the level where you have to balance the gnome on the roof.
So what you can do, clean everything, get it to about 99%, go out, then go like do a free play level, then go back into your level because it saves where you're at.
Oh,
and
really?
then the gnome is up there when you reload the level, and then you just finish cleaning whatever you're cleaning. Trust me. I already spent a long time trying to parkour onto the roof, carrying the gnome with the ladder, put the gnome down, grab the ladder and move it to here before the gnome slides off the roof, go and grab the gnome, climb back up there, put it on, only for it to fall all the way down to the ground again. And that one, even though I made it through, that was strike 2. Yeah.
And then actually, I might not even have finished that level. I know that I finished that roof area, and then put the gnome up there, so there wasn't gonna be like, I wasn't gonna be spraying it with water or anything anymore. Is that the like church or something that you clean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so it got to a point where I was just like, I'm just kind of over it. Like that like we went on vacation. I was so into Powerwash Simulator, and then we went on vacation, and we kind of came back, and I was like, I haven't played any like real games in a while. I want I want to do more than just like
Yeah.
power wash stuff. But I'm hoping that the studio can get that trophy stuff figured out.
They
eventually.
tweeted the other day that, they're still working on it, be patient with us, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, it's
Right.
been broken
I know
for
they're a
over
small
month
team.
now. Yeah.
Hmm.
They'll get it fixed for sure. And
Yeah.
I would think
is that on all versions or just on the PlayStation?
I don't know if the achievements are broken or if it's just trophies. All I've seen is trophies.
I know the
'cause
trophy
that's-
people
that's
talk
all I
about it
care
more
about.
because they care a lot
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, nobody cares about achievements.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there's Power Wash, but the game I really want to talk about that I've been looking forward to, I've kind of been looking forward to Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, but I was kind of like, it's probably gonna suck. And then they put out the demo. I played it for about 10 minutes and I was like, okay, I like this. And they put out the demo, I think the same day that the reviews came out, a week ahead of time. So I was like, well, that's a good sign. And then I checked
Right?
Metacritic and it's at like an
the
86
morning of
or
the
87.
morning of our fantasy draft.
Yeah.
When the
And I was
reviews
like,
came out.
I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. And I've now put, I think it does track your time, by the way, on your save. Thank God.
Okay.
I checked,
Accurately?
yeah. I checked mine. I think it was right around 16 hours. And I adore this game. I can easily say it's the newest game it's the only new game I've played this year. This is easily my game of the year so far.
Yeah. Nice.
I freaking love this game. So it's a Metroidvania. It is not the best looking game. I would say at least the character models. I think the world is beautiful. I like how they did the 2.5D thing. I know Colin always complains about that because it's not pixel art. I don't really worry about that.
I always feel like the way that Colin talks about 2.5D isn't what 2.5D actually is. I always thought 2.5D was more so that like sometimes you going left to right, but then sometimes you're also going to be going like, it's like, oh, there's a door right here that you can kind of go. Whereas he makes it sound like any like 2D side scroller with like 3D character models.
That's what it is.
Is 2.5D, which oh well.
But yeah, the world is beautiful. I love how like Metroid Dread did a lot with the backgrounds where it was a lot of world building that I liked where you can just see stuff going on back there. It's the same thing here. There is a part of this game. Sean was like, before he left, he's like, I just got to the coolest freaking part of this game. And it's one of the coolest things I've ever seen in a game. And I was like, well, damn. Okay. And I didn't know what it was, but when I got to it, I texted him and he had Wi-Fi on the boat. So I was like, I don't know if you're going to get this because I don't know if you have Wi-Fi, but I'm guessing that, insert thing here is the cool thing you were talking about. I was like, because this is freaking amazing. This is so damn cool. And he's like, yep, obviously that's it. So cool.
You're playing on PS5?
Yes, playing on PS5.
Yeah.
I will be getting the platinum in this.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask about too. Is it a reasonable list?
Yes. There's nothing difficulty based. Sorry, I got to tell my kids to get in bed. There's nothing difficulty based. There's no speed run.
Nice.
There's nothing that's missable because
Ubisoft, I think Ubisoft is usually pretty good about their platinums. That usually it's like a collectathon type thing for them that kind of stray people away. But on a Metroidvania, I feel like that's kind of what you want anyway.
Yeah.
I feel like that's pretty standard.
Yeah, and it's like Immortals Phoenix Rising had a really good platinum list. Yeah, this one's not bad. I'm definitely going to get the platinum. I've been ready to go to the next. I think I've down to only a few more bosses in the game, but I got the power-ups you get in this. Some of them, I will say, are the same as other Metroidvanias. Like you can dash. Eventually, you can dash
double
in the
jump,
air,
like all the standard ones. And it's like Metroid doesn't own the double jump.
Right. But there is some really cool other powers that I won't even say what they are because it's really cool. Time plays a
Yeah.
big part of this, is what I'll say, and
Does
it's
it?
how you manipulate time and everything.
Oh, interesting.
But yeah, I don't want to give them away, but they're super cool.
Did you play the demo?
Yeah, I played it for 10 minutes and I was like, okay, I definitely like this. The reviews are great. Delete it. I don't need to play anymore. I can't wait for this to come out.
So something's funny. I downloaded the demo and played it and I downloaded the demo because everybody was going on and on about it. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna try it out. Um, I worked at the restaurant one morning from well, and playoffs have been going on. I stayed up till, I don't know, 10:45, making sure that the 49ers beat the Packers, since the Packers decimated my boys. And the next morning I got to go to work at 4 o'clock.
Okay.
And I was there from 4 until around, I don't know, 1. And I came home and the game was installed. I sat down on my couch, instantly fell asleep. And then when I woke up, it was time for more playoff games to start. And I was like, well, I guess we're not trying this today. And then I haven't tried it again since then. I think it'll probably be, I feel like I say this about every game we talk about. There's a lot of games that I would like to get to this year. So I'm kind of glad that there aren't a ton of games that are going to be coming out that that are on my radar.
So yeah, this was nice because I didn't think there was going to be anything coming out until Rebirth. But
right,
the other thing, the funny thing when I think about how much I'm loving this, I remember that it used to be for me, I only liked Metroidvanias that were like Metroid, where it was ranged attacks, guns, whatever.
right.
And I finally clicked with Symphony of the Night, and now I definitely like the melee based, Metroidvanias better, and that's what this is. And the combat in this is cool. So you get different combos, you get different super attacks you can do. You collect these things called amulets, and you have a necklace in your options that you can customize which ones. You start with like 4 or 5 spots for amulets on your necklace, and you can, you get these amulet things. I think I've gotten like 25 of them or something. Mm-hmm. Some of them take up 1 spot, some of them take up 3 spots. They'll either make your attacks more powerful, or you get more life, or you get an extra life bar chunk, or you get this or that. So there's so much strategy that goes into it.
And you said some of them take up 1 slot, some of them will take up more than that. Is it the kind of thing that let's say you have like 5 slots, so you can choose like a 3 slot and 2 1 slots, or is it Correct. The kind of, or is it okay?
Yeah.
So you kind of have to weigh them like that too.
Yeah.
I think that adds like a nice customization aspect.
Oh yeah, for sure.
To these kind of games.
And that's what I mean. You get a lot of strategy with, you can figure out how you want to play the game. I think the difficulty's good. I'm playing it on normal. There was one boss that I almost dropped the difficulty down because I got my butt handed to me like 10 times in a row, but I finally got past him. But one of the cool things I did see in the options, this is how I think at this day and age, all games should do. If they have a difficulty option, it shouldn't just be easy, normal, hard, very hard. You should have those, but then this has like, you can customize it. So you can be like, okay, right. it's easier to do your parries, and parries are a big part of this, of this game. You can make parries easier. You can knock down the amount of damage that enemies do. You can turn yours up and down.
It'll let you just put all those on sliders. Yeah, that's actually really helpful. Yeah. I do feel like that's something that I think Ubisoft does really well. I did like also, I keep going back to Star Wars Jedi Survivor. One of the things that I think that they did pretty well was that on their difficulties, they didn't let you adjust them each individually, but it'll show you the sliders and be like, okay, at Jedi Knight, this is your damage. It's like, this is your damage output. This is how much damage you take. And then like, this is your parry window. And then if you put it down, it's like, okay, you're on Padawan. Like, this is your parry window.
Yeah. And I
like it when they're kind of like open with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I almost did put the parry window down because I was not getting the hang of it at first. But I got the hang of it, and it's not that bad once you feel like you collect stuff in this that are they're called, Soma tree petals, which are like heart container pieces to to make your life go up. So I love that, of course. This does one of the best things that I think every Metroidvania should do from here on out. There's this power up that you get where you can just push down on the D-pad and it will take a screenshot of where you're at on the map. It will put it, if you go to the map, you'll have a little icon there that you took a picture. So like if you forget, like it's like games will let you just put a mark on a map, like,
right.
you know,
It'll just do like
whatever.
an automatic like marker.
But I'm not going to remember what that is. Whereas this, it takes a picture of what you saw on the screen then. So it's not just like, so I know if I go back and look at this, I'm like, oh, now I can do that because I got the double jump. Go back there, do it, get that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It is such a game changer, and I don't know why. No, I can't think of any other Metroidvania that has done this, but it is such a game changer, and every Metroidvania from here on out should do it. What else can I say? I'm not going to talk about the story. The story is fine. Oh yeah, I never went back. So the character models are not great. The world is beautiful. The character models are. They probably could have done it on PS3. But I will say it's a smooth 60 frames per second. You don't have to worry about fidelity or performance or anything.
I've heard it's a smooth 60 even on Switch.
Oh, well, probably because it doesn't look that great. So that would make sense. But,
there's only so much you can ask for when you're working with a 480 game.
Yeah. But yeah, the map is huge also. There's lots of secrets. You've got your different main quests. You've got so many side quests that you can do. There's different, like you can upgrade your swords, you can upgrade your bow and arrow, you can upgrade it. There's just so much stuff in this. And like you said, there's a lot of collectibles.
Right.
To get the platinum, you don't have to get every collectible thing that there is, but you probably have to get a certain number of each type of thing. Yeah. You have to get all the amulets, like I was talking about, all the different kinds of those. You need to get all the heart container things. You need to level up your weapons all the way, stuff like that. Like I said, it's a great trophy list, I think.
Gotcha.
And gosh, I don't know what else I can really say.
You mentioned the map. You said the map is good. Map is easy to understand, easy to navigate.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is fast travel as well.
I feel like every week people are just complaining about the map in a different game.
Yeah. This map is perfect. It's
okay.
You don't see it when you're playing. I don't think. Now I can't even remember actually. Do you see it? I don't think. No, you don't. But
you might not have like a mini map or something.
You don't have a mini map like you do in some Metroids, but I mean, you just hit the touchpad and it's right there.
Right.
Like I said, you can take pictures, put it in the map. You can do regular, icons if you want to do that. But since you can take pictures, you can do screenshots. You don't need to do that.
Gotcha. And side quests. You mentioned side quests. Do they kind of? I imagine they kind of follow a standard Ubisoft thing of you have like a quest journal, and if you select a side quest, it'll pretty much tell you like this is where you have to go.
So this does not. Oh, that's another thing you can do. When it comes to the map, one of the options, you can do standard mode or you can do guided mode. And what guided mode does, and I turn this on, I don't care.
Right.
It'll show you where, like if you get to a part where you can't advance and it's part of the story, if you open up the map, there'll be like a red door that's saying like, hey, you can't progress through here. And then later on, if you get a certain power up and you look back at the map, that door will change to green. Like, hey, now you can go back here.
So you said it was guided, and then what was the other one?
Just regular mode. I can't remember.
Okay. And does it tell you that not guided is the way the game is intended to be played?
No, it doesn't. It just lets you pick either way. Yeah.
Because in the three most recent Assassin's Creed, not Mirage, the three before that, when you're doing your quests and stuff, they'll they have you choose between guided mode and exploration mode. And so for exploration mode, it'll be like, oh, that your quest, your thing to progress this quest is in like this chunk of the city right here, and it'll have like a circle there, and it'll like tell you when you're in the circle and like when you're getting close to your thing. and it'll tell you like exploration mode is the way the game is intended to be played. But if you choose guided, it'll tell you like exactly where the different quest items are.
Yeah,
and
this
stuff.
doesn't do that. So this, like,
Okay,
if you get a side quest, it'll mark on your map where the side quest originated, but it's
gotcha.
up to you to figure it out.
Okay, that's cool. And sorry, one last question for you as far as
Yeah.
Prince of Persia. Do you have any history with Prince of Persia as a series?
I don't think so. I've never played. I didn't play the Sands of Time. I know that's the one everybody loves, and who knows if the remake's still happening or not. I don't think I ever played it back in the 16-bit era. I think back then it was more of a cinematic platformer, kind of like Flashback or Out of This World / Another World.
Okay.
I don't really know that I've ever played them before.
I know that I haven't.
Okay.
And I've always been like kind of not interested enough to check them out, I guess. But I know, so Assassin's Creed is one of my favorite series, and I know that Assassin's Creed was born out of the ideas that they were not able to fit into the Prince of Persia games.
Okay.
Which makes me very interested in them. But I was just curious if you had any experience or anything there.
I never played them, but
I always imagined them being like 3D games. Is that kind of what you picture?
Oh, they always have.
Okay,
well,
that's what I thought. When this
since
one was a
the-
2D Prince of Persia, I was like, that's
since the
not
old school stuff.
normal for the series, right?
Yeah. Right.
Okay,
I mean, except for when it first started way back when.
right.
Um.
And I can't forget the movie, which I also did not see.
Oh, was that
Which-
Gyllenhaal?
I don't remember who it was.
I think it was.
I think it's on Disney Plus. It's on one of the streaming services that I have, and they really want me to watch it. They suggest it to me like every single day.
I would not waste my time.
Yeah, I'm not planning to.
Oh yeah, one other thing that I didn't talk about. So the platforming in this, especially as you get more and more mobility power-ups, is what I call them, like your dashes and stuff like that. There are some sections in this that kind of reminded me of freaking Cyber Shadow, where you're like, you can't touch the ground because there's spikes everywhere, and you got to use your double jump, and then dash into a wall, and then jump over these spikes and over this, and blah blah blah. If you get hit, you start back over.
Right.
Some of them are ridiculously tough, but it is so satisfying when you get them. There's this other currency you can get in the game. There's two major currencies. So you get time shards, which are just like you break a vase or you kill an enemy and you get these things. And that's like how you upgrade stuff and buy stuff. Then there's also these Xerxes coins that they're always somewhere where they are just like floating at the end of a platforming challenge. Most of them, some of them are easy to get to, but a lot of them are platforming challenges. And what you have to do is by the time you get all the way there, you touch the Xerxes. I never had a XES. I think it's Xerxes. I don't know.
I think it's Xerxes, maybe.
Yeah. You touch it and then it's like floating over you. And then you have to get back. You have to get on solid ground before you actually get to keep it. So
interesting.
If you die on the way back or going through the rest of this thing until you get on solid ground, it'll just keep floating over you. Even if you land like on a piece of wood or something that collapses after a second or something, that doesn't count. Like you have to be
you got to be on like real ground.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that can be frustrating sometimes, but again, it's so rewarding when you do it. And I just love the mobility of this game overall. Yeah, I don't know what this year has in store really. I mean, we're coming off one of the best years ever. Like I said, Rebirth is definitely my most anticipated.
Right.
I can't wait to play Paper Mario finally. There's some other games coming out, but I'm almost thinking it's going to be interesting to see, do we get the Super Switch this year? Do we get a new 3D Mario?
I could see like a fall, like October Switch.
It's just, I wonder when we're thinking of the games coming out this year, I'm almost more excited about what we don't know yet. That could be coming out this year. But right now, I love this game.
I think it's very promising for the year that most of what we know is like the next
few months,
couple months, like based off of, I was looking at the dates on the our fantasy draft, and
Yeah.
it's like we know a whole bunch about January, February, and then a couple games in March, and then everything else is just like 2024.
Yeah.
You mentioned Cyber Shadow,
Hmm.
and so I was wondering, Prince of Persia, how do they do the like saves and stuff? So I know that in Metroid, you have like Metroid's not a lot of Metroid games are not particularly hard, but you'll have like save stations
Hmm.
to where it's like you kind of save here and then kind of run around the world and then you have to get back to the save station to kind of save your progress. Is Prince of Persia similar? Or I know that like in um Cyber Shadow is really hard, but there would be like you would get through this like 2 minute section and there'd be another save spot. And then you get through another like 2 or 3 minute section, there'd be another save spot. So they were a lot more generous with them. How is Prince of Persia in that aspect?
Um, so it's the same way as like Metroid or Symphony, where you've
Okay.
got you don't have save rooms, but you've got these trees that you
Right.
basically check in at, and you can save it there. It replenishes your life, replenishes your health potion, stuff like that.
Okay.
And they're not too plentiful to where it seems like they're too close, but it's also not, they're not too far away. I think they found a good happy medium
Okay,
to
that's good.
where
That's
there's definitely sometimes when I'm going through some tough parts and I'm like, geez, I don't have any more health potions yet. If I see any enemies, I'm just going to try to double jump over them and dash and just, I got to
yeah.
be getting close. And the other cool, they do a cool thing actually with those save points is there are these trees with all these yellow leaves. They're called whack whack trees, which is just hilarious. But when you get to a room that is near where that tree is, what you'll see is like the wind doing this, and you will see yellow tree leaves kind of floating in the air.
Okay.
So to let you know, like, hey, it's this way and you're really close. Like, just hang on.
That's
So
good. That's nice. I like it when they do little stuff like that.
I like that. I like that a lot because it gives you just like, okay, I can take a breath. I can do this. I'm that close.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
But
It's good to hear.
it's
It's good to
fantastic.
hear that it seems like they kind of balanced it enough to where one of the things I really didn't like about Cyber Shadow, even though I forced myself to beat that game, um, was that it was just so it was so difficult, even though the save points were so close together, that it got to the point that it wasn't even like I could only play that game for like an hour at a time
Oh,
because it was just like I'm not even having fun. I
no, it was one of the hardest and most stressful games I've ever played.
that
I still can't
is
believe I beat it.
that is the hardest game that I've ever beaten.
Yeah.
And I still think that Cuphead is harder, which I was never able to beat. I gave up.
Yeah. The fact that I beat Cuphead still amazes me, but I to me, Cyber Shadow was harder. Mostly because of all that crazy platforming stuff you would have to do so often. But yeah, so that's Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. You know, obviously when Sean's back, Sean's been playing it as well. I think I said that.
Right.
He's loving it as well. So we'll get his full
Nice.
thoughts next podcast, and we both definitely would have beaten it by then. I would think.
Do you know how long of a game it is?
Um, I think I read 20 20 to 25 hours for the main story. Platinum trophy, maybe 35 or so.
Okay.
So not horrible.
And you said you've played what, like 15, 16?
16, right around 16.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not
And
bad.
I've been for the last like 2 or 3 hours, I've just been going to parts on the map that I haven't been able to get to yet and not
And
progressing the story, just exploring.
it was a $70 game?
Oh no, it's only 50. That was one thing I forgot to say.
Oh, nice.
So it's a budget, quote unquote, budget
That's a
game.
nice surprise. I think that Ubisoft, because Assassin's Creed Mirage, which I also liked quite a bit, it wasn't great, but it was also a $49.99. And it's like
Oh,
I
yeah,
would
that's
much
right.
rather them make these smaller, like smaller for them is still big games for like they're still big.
Yeah.
And so I think that they could have a nice renaissance making what they think are like smaller games.
Yeah. Exploring the whole spectrum of pricing. That's what
Exactly.
Colin always says. Not everything has to be 70 or 20. There's
Right.
a big gap in there. Speaking of games that don't have to cost $70, let's get to the news, James.
Let's
So, oh yeah, and I forgot to say, Prince of Persia. I just saw this today. One of the senior designers of the
Oh
Prince
yeah,
of
I saw
Persia
that in there,
game,
and I wanted to talk about that too.
he all he said is that he would love to make a Zelda 2 remake or some kind of spin-off of it. And I'm like, as bad a game as Zelda 2 is, if somebody were to remake that now that knows what they're doing,
If
there's
there's
a good game in there. There's a good
if
game.
there's any Zelda game that needs a remake, it is Zelda 2. And I do really believe that there's a good game in there. The issue is nobody talks about it. Zelda 2 is a roguelike in that you have to basically conquer the whole world again every
Yeah.
single time you die.
Well,
And they
and
didn't they it doesn't feel like they designed it that way.
no, but yeah, there's definitely a good game in there, but the one that we've got is not it.
Right.
All right.
It also probably didn't help with Zelda 2 that coming off of Zelda 1, which the combat, especially Zelda 1 and Zelda 2, is very different. The combat in Zelda 2 is so much more like strategic and kind of like luck based, whereas in Zelda 1 you can kind of just run around swinging your sword and you'll take a lot of guys out. um I think that people's expectations coming off of Zelda 1 probably didn't help Zelda 2 very much either.
You're right. Right.
Anyway, let's keep going.
All right. Xbox Developer Direct. I will say right off the top, good on them. Good on them. Sony, take note. So they did say ahead of time that there would be no Activision Blizzard King games at this event, but they'll be getting more news on them later this year. So they had 5 games they were going to showcase, and the first one is Avowed. We got a release window, fall 2024. I will say, if all these games do come out, well, except, for Visions of Mana, but if they have this many first party games this year, Xbox is in a good spot, especially since we don't know
all of them are
what
slated for this year, right?
Doing. Yeah.
Which I thought that was really good. Did you watch the thing?
Yes, I went back and watched. I didn't watch it live, but
I hadn't watched it, and then when I was looking at the document that you sent me and realized that it was pretty much our only news item, I was like, I guess I should probably go watch that. And I thought overall I thought it was a very good showing.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I like this format. I know people were kind of upset that there wasn't a shadow drop or anything, but they're not going to do that every time. Hi-Fi Rush was that was crazy, but so yeah, the first game is Avowed. I don't really, this isn't doing it for me. It doesn't look like it's, I think some people are going to absolutely love this game. I've never played any Obsidian games also, so I don't have like a soft spot then.
I don't think I have either.
Yeah.
I know that people that are hardcore like Western RPG fans, just go on and on about Obsidian. I know that they had their hand in the Fallout series and the Outer Worlds, which came out a couple years ago. It released after Microsoft bought Obsidian Obsidian, but it still came to PlayStation, which those games are that one's supposed to be pretty good. With Avowed, if I'm thinking of the right game, what really stuck out to me was when they were talking about you can the interactions that you have with characters and how you can talk to one character over here and he'll tell you this story, and then you can go talk to this character over here and they'll tell you like a conflicting story, and you have to kind of use context clues in the world and kind of ask them about their stuff and kind of figure out who's telling the truth and who's not, and then make decisions based off of that, and then it'll affect your story and stuff later on. I think that kind of stuff is really cool.
Yeah, it's the first person magic combat is what I'm not really, I don't know that I'm sold on.
Right.
But, I mean, I got to have a reason to play my stupid Xbox this year, so I will probably at least try this. I do like that, even though this is not a game for me at all, Pillars of Eternity, which is a computer RPG. I like that this is set in the same world of that. I just appreciate that, like all of the Alan Wake stuff and Control. I like when there's, when these developers, whether they initially plan to do it or not, I like when everything is in that same world.
Right. Did you play Control?
No, I've got it because
Wake?
it was on PS Plus. No.
Alan Wake Remastered was on PS Plus,
Yeah, I've got
and
it.
I think Control Ultimate Edition was also on PS Plus.
Yep. So I want to get to them at some point. And no, I haven't played Alan Wake 2, of course, because I don't want
Gotcha.
to play it until I play the first. But
Yeah, I haven't played Alan Wake 2, but from what pretty much everybody has said, it doesn't make sense to play it if you hadn't played the first one.
right.
Which I'd like to. I played the original Alan Wake on Xbox 360. I actually got it as like a bonus or something. I got a download code for it when I bought Control on my Xbox. And so I played the 360 version. I'd like to go and play Alan Wake Remastered before playing Alan Wake 2. But anyway, I know that all of those that whole universe is kind of intertwined. I'm kind of with you that it always just seems very cool to me.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think Avowed, it's probably going to be no less than a good game. So
right.
Good on them. Next up was Hellblade 2 Senua's Saga. Did I say that, or was Senua's Sacrifice the first one? Yeah. Yes. Senua's Saga is the second one. This leaked ahead of time, but the game is apparently coming out May 21st. This leaked and it was confirmed.
That's good, right?
Yes.
After all this, this game's gotta be good, right? Like,
it's the prettiest game I've ever seen.
It's been like 5 or 6 years.
They showed it for the first time in 2019. We still
I thought it was earlier than that.
So the first one came out in 2017. They showed this in 2019, and now it's coming out 5 years later. They did announce the game is only about 6 to 8 hours long. If you buy it, it's $50. It's digital only. Of course, it'll be Game Pass day one. But again, like we were saying,
right,
doing that whole spectrum when it comes
I'm not buying a game
prices.
that's on Game Pass if it's digital only. Like,
but I guess my thing with this, it's beautiful looking. I liked the first one. I never finished it. And it was more just, it wasn't fun to, it was more the everything except playing the game, I guess, was great about it. Like the way they did the audio and everything, but the combat was not great. And it wasn't made to be, it's not like a God of War game or anything like that.
Right.
But with this, I'm just like, I just don't know what they've been doing. They've been making this game for like 6 or 7 years, and they're like, yeah, here it is. It's going to be 6 to 8 hours. Now, game length is not everything. There's just something so weird about this game. And like, do I think it will be good? Yes. But I worry,
but
I hope they're not just putting so much into the fidelity of this game. Like I said, the most beautiful game I have ever seen.
Right.
But I just worry that there's not actually a lot of,
but I feel like
there,
if you spend 6 years working on an 8-hour game, those 8 hours have to be like incredible.
Yes.
Whereas, so, I mean, 6 years is a year longer than it took to make Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, and the whole Uncharted trilogy.
The entire, but I mean, that was a different time.
Yeah,
but or God of War Ragnarok, these huge games that, like, I don't know.
And that's why, like, I don't want to say, because I agree that like game length does not equal dollars. I believe that 100%. That's why, like, I'm going to get 30, 40 hours out of Prince of Persia. I paid $50 for it. That's amazing. But I've paid $60 for games that are 10, 12 hours long, and I wouldn't change anything about it. It's just that there's something to me that's just weird about this game. I hope there's enough meat there, and it's not just a lot of window dressing and everything.
Right. My thing, the dollar thing, is kind of on the other side, more of on the development side of, if this game, I don't know the team sizes and stuff, but if this game took longer to develop than Spider-Man 2, is the budget for this bigger than Spider-Man 2? And if you're spending all that money, where is it going if the whole experience is going to be 8 hours? Like,
so let me see. Okay, so they're I thought they were based somewhere else, but they're actually based in the UK. So that means they probably do not have it's probably very expensive to make this game. I thought they were based in Sweden or Poland or something like that, where talent might not be as expensive. But yeah, the budget on this
Oh,
game
right.
must be insane. That's what I wanted to look up.
Right? So I don't know. It's like I don't think there's anything wrong with spending a lot of money on games because I don't think, I mean, I don't know what the budget for God of War Ragnarok was, like 200 million, 300 million. I think it was worth it.
Yeah.
But if you're going to tell me that, I don't know, it's like if you find out that Ground Zeroes was a $300 million game, it's like, where did the money go?
Right.
So, or did all of it just go to Kojima?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm very intrigued by this. Again, I got to have a reason to play my Xbox, so I will definitely try this out.
Right.
I hope it's more than just a pretty game.
Mhm.
Next up, they had a surprise and they showed Visions of Mana from Square Enix. Now, to me personally, this was my game of the show. I am
Really?
so excited for this friggin' game. I have played on and off some of the Mana games over the years, some of the remakes. I loved what was it on Vita? Adventures of Mana. That game was awesome. It was a top-down kind of isometric action RPG, Zelda kind of game. Like a
Okay.
lot of the Mana games are action RPGs. I got the
Yeah.
platinum in it. It was awesome. Um, I love that game. So this is coming out summer of 2024. They showed a lot of gameplay, a lot of the combat. I think it looks like so much fun. I think this is one of those. Oh yeah, this is not coming to Game Pass. So yeah, I'll be buying this on PlayStation. But they showed how you can air launch enemies. They showed combat in the air. They showed your different special attacks. You've got these elementals, which I guess are kind of like summons in Final Fantasy that you can do for like super moves and stuff. They didn't show the HUD, so I'm curious about that. I always worry when games like this don't show the HUD. I'm like, oh my God, is it gonna be like the meme where it just takes up everything, like some Ubisoft games? I always do wonder about the combat as well. It looks like because I don't know how many of the Mana games did this, but I know with Secret of Mana and the remake, like, yes, it's an action RPG, and you push a button to swing your sword, but then you had like a recharge meter to where you could swing your
Right.
sword again right away, but instead of getting 100% of the attack power, you're going to get like 10%. So there was a strategy in waiting for that to fill back up before you attacked again. Something like this with as much action as they were showing in this, I don't think this is going to be that it's going to be that kind of style, but I am curious to learn more about the battle system and everything. But yeah, James, what did you think of Visions of Mana?
Oh, I completely tuned out during
Oh
this
man.
section. Um, I I don't know. I had my laptop open. I was taking notes on my laptop during the rest of the thing, which I probably didn't need to do if I'd known that it was only going to be like 5 or 6 games being shown in their 45-minute thing.
Right.
Um, I don't know. I kind of tuned out for a little bit. I definitely do not think this is a game for me, but um it sounds like you're really excited for it. So hopefully other people, the other fans of the series would be excited for it as well.
Well,
Um,
one thing I didn't realize that they said in this, and I was like, holy crap, I guess that makes sense. They've made 17 Mana games, starting with when the
really?
first one came out on Game Boy, it was actually called Final Fantasy Adventure. And then they spun it off into they renamed it. And that Vita game that I was talking about, that's actually a remake of Final Fantasy Adventure on the Game Boy. Um,
Okay.
but they've made 17. This will be the 17th Mana game. And I heard that and I was like, oh my God, that is just insane. But it does kind of make sense. Now, I don't know if that's counting re-releases and stuff. I wasn't really paying
Right.
attention when all the different names were coming up on the screen, but yeah, this is definitely a Kevin game, unless this comes out and
Huh.
the reviews are just horrible. Um, I love me a good action RPG.
Yeah. If
Um,
well, so how bad could the reviews be and you still try it?
75.
Okay.
75 or above, I'm happy. A good 7 or an 8, and that's kind of what I expect. Probably around 80, I'd be really happy with. But
Right.
yeah, if it's under a 70, then something has just gone wrong, and I'm not interested.
Okay.
But speaking of games that are definitely not Kevin games, then we see Ara History Untold. And this I didn't watch because I watched about a minute of it and I was like, okay, it's a Civilization kind of game. I got nothing to say. Moving on. I think they said it's coming out this year, but I don't even know.
They
This
did.
is not for me. So James, is
This
this for
much
you?
more this is much more interesting to
Wow.
me.
Okay.
If I'm gonna check out one of those, I'll probably won't check out either of them, but if I'm gonna check out one of them, it would be this one. Um, I'm always intrigued by these like Civilization style or these um I mean, I was an Age of Empires kid back in the day. Um, what was that? Uh I was a Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds kid, which is just Age of Empires for the Star Wars skin. Um, that these kind of games where you like build your own like civilization and stuff are always really fascinating to me, and I always want to try to jump in, but I know that they're gonna be a lot deeper than I want them to be. And as somebody who has so many games that I want to play, I don't want I almost stray away from these kind of games because I know there's a pretty good chance
It's
that
such a
it's just going
time
to
sink.
consume
Yeah.
like a couple weeks of my life. And it's like I don't want to do like when I'm struggling to play all the games that I want to play already, all the games that I already have that I haven't gotten to, like I don't really see myself checking out. But the idea, I think if I remember correctly, it said that it was like either a classic like 4X, which the whole like 4X genre, um, is all of those are just always so fascinating to me, like the different mechanics and stuff. But I won't check them out just because I know myself. I know that I'll all of a sudden lose like an entire week
Yeah.
or more.
Yeah, definitely not for me. I could not care less about this. But this I would say this direct definitely had a lot of I mean a lot of the games we already knew about, but they had something for
Right.
everybody. Something that apparently is for a lot of people, I just don't know how I feel yet on this though, is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, which shockingly is actually coming out. Why are you emailing me at work at 10:30 at night? Um Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is coming out later this year. I was shocked. I thought for sure this was 2025 just because we have not seen or heard anything of it other than they were making Indiana Jones. So
Right.
that's awesome. Good on them. It's being made by Machine Games.
Machine
They
games.
they did say
Are
that
they Wolfenstein?
yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
They did say you're not just playing as Indiana Jones, you are Indiana Jones. They're using
Cliche.
I was shocked at this, but they're using Harrison Ford's likeness, and Troy Baker
I
is
did
doing
notice
the
that.
voice.
They actually did a really good job of making it look like him. Who
Yeah,
did
and
the
Troy
voice?
Baker sounds like him. Troy Baker is just
I actually thought the voice didn't sound. It sounded like somebody trying to sound like Harrison Ford. It
Yeah.
didn't sound like, and it's like I would almost rather you just try to do a different like manly voice than try to sound like you're imitating somebody else, because also if your voice actor is just going to try to sound like somebody else, did you need to get Troy Baker? Like, why pay Troy Baker money when you can just find some grade A Harrison Ford impersonator? Like,
I'm just
but
surprised they're even doing Harrison Ford. I didn't expect that.
well, I feel like, I mean, Harrison Ford is Indiana
Yeah,
Jones. Like, there is
of
no
course.
like, it'd be I feel like it would be different if it was like a character that we had already had like multiple iterations of. I feel like it would also be different if it wasn't um if it wasn't going to be an Xbox product and it was going to be a company that people are usually a little more enthusiastic about. Like I feel like nobody got upset when Sony made a Spider-Man game and it was a brand new Spider-Man that we had never seen before.
Oh, I got
But
upset when they changed his face.
they did.
It was still so weird.
But I feel like I don't know. I feel like with this one, I don't necessarily know if it's a Microsoft thing or if it's kind of like what Disney wants, but I do feel like they're by making it Harrison Ford, they're trying to just kind of play it safe, maybe.
Yeah.
That I think if it didn't look and sound like Harrison Ford, there would be no way of convincing people this is an Indiana Jones game.
Yeah. Um, so we saw that it is first person. I think we all, I don't know if
Right.
we knew that, but we assumed because it's machine games it was going to be, but there is the cutscenes are in third person. There's third person
Right.
traversal segments, they said.
Mm-hmm.
The game is set between Raiders of the Lost Ark and The Last Crusade. I don't know if this is actually canon or not. I also really don't care because they've just destroyed Indiana Jones at this point. The only real movies are the first three movies.
Right.
They said there's a lot of different puzzles to solve. Some are hidden. They said, I think they said something about a lot of them are actually optional. So if you don't want to do them, you don't have to. They showed that there's different paths you can take through the levels. There are stealth options. Obviously, Indy's got his whip, and he can use it to traverse the environment, to distract guards, to pull enemies close, and combat. And then I wrote down here, to me, I thought the cutscenes looked kind of rough, and I just don't know about the. To me, this should have been a third-person game, but I can't picture Indy in first person using a whip. Something about that just doesn't. I mean, I don't. Outside of side-scrolling games, I don't really like whips in games anyways. But yeah, so what did you think of Indy?
When I heard that it was third or when it was first person, I was like, really? That's kind of odd. But I feel like somebody online had mentioned that if it was in third person, people would just endlessly just say that it was just an Uncharted knockoff.
But Uncharted wouldn't exist without Indy.
You're right. And I also think that after seeing the gameplay and stuff in the trailer and stuff that they showed at the thing, I actually think it looks really solid, especially the whip and stuff. I think I feel like if it is more combat focused, I feel like doing it in third person could be kind of weird.
Yeah.
Whereas when I think of Uncharted, I don't think of Uncharted as being like a third person shooter. I think of it as being more of like a third person adventure or like I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like when I think of Uncharted, I think of like the traversal and the puzzles and navigating the world. I kind like I feel like combat kind of takes more of a back seat. And so I feel like if the whip and the guns and all the stuff that you're doing is like a primary focus and they want it to be more combat focused, maybe first person makes more sense. But I actually thought across the board at this event, I thought it was a very strong showing. And I thought Indiana Jones was a really good way to end. I do think the name is a little bit silly. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle.
And it's a circle that goes around the world. I was listening to Gamescoop. Justin Davis, I think it was, said like, yeah, that's just like latitude and longitude. There's circles around the globe. Yeah, we know that.
I saw on Twitter somebody said, I heard they're gonna call the next game Indiana Jones and the hypotenuse of the triangle.
But I mean, when you think about it, like, I mean, the Indiana Jones movies names are awesome. Temple of Doom, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Last Crusade, but they're also kind of goofy, you know?
Right.
But I don't know.
I mean, we don't think they're goofy because they've always been that way.
Right.
But
so yeah, I don't know. I think overall, I'm happy Xbox did this. I like this format. I'm hopeful for their 2024. It's an important year for them, especially as they start to get, we know Diablo 4 is going to come to Game Pass. Call of Duty is still a couple years away from coming to Game Pass, but you just bought Activision for $70 billion and you have got to have this year. It's not like it's really make or break because Microsoft is now the most valuable company in the world. They beat Apple recently, $2.9 trillion they're worth or something ridiculous.
Dang.
So it's not really a make or break year, but it kind of is a make or break year. Like they've got to come out swinging this year. They've got to have some great games. And overall, while everything that was shown here is definitely not for me, the 4 first party games they showed, they look like they're going to be, if nothing else, good to better than good, which is really what they need to hit.
I agree. I think all 5 of the games that they showed, which I know that your Mana whatever isn't an Xbox game. I know it'll be on Xbox, but I know it's not really their project. I think all 5 of these games are going to be really great for their people, like for the fans of those games. I'll also say, of the games that are shown, I probably won't check out any of them day one. If I do, it's going to be Indiana Jones, probably.
Yeah, I'll probably check out Indy regardless of what the reviews are. The others, I probably want to see the reviews first.
Right. With Hellblade, I don't know. I was so delightfully surprised by the first Hellblade because I went into it not really knowing. I feel like it was kind of in the early days of Game Pass. I went into it not really knowing what it was, and I had heard that you should play it with headphones on, and I just remember I was playing it just in a dark room, just me and my TV and my headphones, and there's these crazy voices, and I feel like if the second game can deliver a similar experience of like, I feel like I'm going insane because all these voices are talking to me, and I don't really want to listen to them because that makes me feel even crazier, but listening to them actually kind of helps me in combat. If it can deliver something like a similar feeling to that, I think it'll be really strong, but hopefully they don't just do like the exact same thing again. Hopefully they kind of do find a way to kind of expand and do that in a different way. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it makes sense. And also when I was saying earlier about, I thought Ninja Theory was Sweden, that Machine Games is based in Sweden. I just looked.
Oh, right.
I wasn't completely off. I just had the wrong company, but good job by Xbox. Good showing. Hopefully Sony shows something at some point. Next up, the last item on the news list, and then we'll run through the wrap up real quick, is we got NPD. I will always call it NPD. I'm not going to call it Circana because I hate that name. But we got
this for December. Sorry, I am interrupting already. Where it says December software, that's all platforms?
Yes.
Okay.
So best-selling
all of them
games
that are recorded.
Yeah. So, and this is only in the US. So
okay.
Number 1, not surprisingly, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, 2, Super Mario Wonder, which doesn't really surprise me because a lot of people were buying that for Christmas.
Right. And Nintendo doesn't report digital sales, right?
That's why I put the star there. So that's
right,
just
that's what I thought.
That's just box sales. Number 3, Madden 24. Number 4, Hogwarts Legacy, another big Christmas game. Spider-Man 2 hanging in there at number 5. Avatar Frontiers of Pandora debuts at number 6. I'm kind of surprised. I don't get the love for Avatar. I just don't. And I've
heard that game's surprisingly good.
It's beautiful. I know that, but it's Far Cry with Navi. And I've never really cared about Far Cry. Number 7 is EA FC or Football Club 24. Number 8, Mortal Kombat 1. Number 9, NBA 2K24. And of course, at number 10, Mario Kart 8. We're never going to get Mario Kart 9.
Right.
We also got the year-end sales results, and this just makes me happy. Even though I don't care anything about this game, the number 1 selling game in the U.S. in 2023 was not Call of Duty for the first time since 2008, when Rock Band was the best-selling game. Number 1, Hogwarts Legacy. Call of Duty comes in for the year, still at number 2. Madden for the year's at number 3. Spider-Man 2 is at number 4. That shocks me.
Oh, really?
I mean, I know
it should be higher or lower.
I thought it would be lower just because of what's. It amazes me that Tears of the Kingdom didn't outsell it, but again, that only counts box copies, so it probably actually did.
Yeah, probably did.
But yeah, so Tears of the Kingdom is 5, Diablo is at 6, Modern Warfare 2 at 7, Mortal Kombat 1 at number 8. Good for them.
I'm surprised to see Diablo 4 there. Did that come out in 2023?
In June, yeah.
Oh, okay. I was thinking that was a 2022 game.
No, again, it was a crazy ass year.
Yeah.
Number 9,
Star Wars Jedi Survivor sneaking in there.
Yep, at number 9, and then number 10 is EA FC 24.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
those are pretty much the same lists.
Yeah, and so PS5 also for December, they finished first in dollars sold and units sold.
Mm-hmm.
Switch was second in both, so we know who was in last. So
yeah,
I just always like to go over this stuff. There's really nothing to talk about. I'm just it's so funny that the campaign to boycott Hogwarts Legacy had zero effect. It just shows people that live on Twitter.
It just ended up being a huge marketing campaign. I am really curious, though, in an alternate world where there wasn't the Twitter discourse about this transphobe wizard game, how if it still would have sold just as well. I do think it would have, because I mean most people are not in the most people don't care. Most people don't care what people on Twitter have to say about video games. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it for the news. And now for the wrap up. First thing I've got here, I don't even know what to say about this, but Pal World has taken over the world in the last few days.
It has.
I think
very quickly.
I don't know if they sold 5 million copies or they had 5 million players in the first 48 hours. I wrote here it got up to number 5 all time in Steam concurrence. It beat Cyberpunk and Elden Ring.
I think it's at number 1 now.
And now it beat somebody else's record. I saw that, but I didn't remember who it was. It was like Counter-Strike or something.
I want to say it had over 1 million concurrent players.
It's just insane. I could not care. I hate Pokemon, so I don't care about Pokemon with guns.
Hold on. Have you ever played a Pokemon game?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, you did? Which one?
Some of the Switch ones.
Oh.
Scarlet.
Okay. Those ones are bad.
I know. They're all bad. I tried one of them on 3DS too, because my kid got that as well. And it's just like, I just don't care. But now I will say, to be fair, that was before I actually realized that I like turn-based RPGs. So you never know. But then there's all this controversy of, did they use AI? Did they completely copy the Pokemon models? I think they obviously did. But there's been no lawsuit yet from Nintendo or from the Pokemon company. But people have been getting death threats and being harassed over the allegations of copying the Pokemon. And can we all just not take video games so
I hadn't even heard seriously?
Yeah, I saw that on Video Games Chronicle today. Can we please not take video games so seriously, people? My God. But if you're playing Pal World, it's on Game Pass on PC. I think it's on Game Pass on Xbox as well. Good for them.
I would say I'm going to check it out, but there's so many games I'm going to. I'll finish Ryse Son of Rome before checking out that game.
Yep.
I'll play a real Pokemon game before checking that out.
Right. HBO's The Last of Us. This broke, I think, right after we recorded the last time, but they have casted Abby and Jesse. So my hopes that they were going to just fill in the gap between the first 2 games. So it looks like they're jumping right in.
I find this kind of interesting because it does seem like they're actually, because I think we all kind of thought the same thing, that they were going to be going Abby, remember in the Discord that I said that the girl that is playing Abby actually did look like a good fit for what Abby's character would look like around the end of season 1.
Yeah.
But now it's just they're casting other characters that wouldn't even make sense to be around at that time.
Yeah.
It doesn't really seem that that's how it's going to be. Um,
I just don't know how they're going to handle it. I'm not going to say what that is. I just don't know how they're
Right.
going to handle it. I don't know how you can do that. It's different in a video game. I don't know. But
Yeah.
they've been cast, so we'll see. Sony announced that in December, a record 123 million people used PlayStation consoles.
All
That's
right.
crazy.
Nice.
So that's more than PS4s have been sold lifetime. It's a crazy number, and I just saw that and was like, wow. This magazine called Dead Labs says that the actual title for Death Stranding 2 is Death Stranding 2 on the Beach. And there are reveals on the game coming in the next couple of weeks. I can't believe that's the title. That just seems like it was AI generated.
That seems like a dumb title, right? We're in agreement that there shouldn't be a Death Stranding 2, right?
It didn't need one. I'm gonna play the hell out of it. But it's definitely, it's not gonna be bad. If the first one wasn't bad, the second one's not gonna be bad. AI Shark.
If one of these games was going to be bad, it
would have been the first one. Yeah. Previously known as Game Shark, they announced that they're relaunching in September alongside the Switch 2, and then they're like, "Whoops, we were just making a guess." I think the Switch 2 is coming out in September. I think they just wanted people to talk about them, and they are just backtracking to try to cover their asses.
Do you think they leaked that on purpose?
Yes.
Trying to be relevant?
But that's the conspiracy theorist in me. But yeah, I definitely do.
All right.
Let's see. Suicide Squad, it's announced they're getting free DLC after launch, and Joker will be playable. The pictures I've seen of Joker look absolutely stupid and ridiculous. So
they look bad.
Yeah. I'm like, is that actually him in the game?
Are you going to check out Suicide Squad?
No, hell no.
I will say that's one of the games I'm just so curious at this point that I'll get it pretty much no matter what.
Yeah, I can't.
I'm curious about whether the HUD is as bad as those images that were running around online. I'm curious about it being a live service game or not a live service game and all this other stuff. Like, I'm just so curious at this point that it's like I might as well just get it.
Yeah. I'm not, there's no way I'm paying $70 for that game. I cannot believe
I gotta play something this year.
After Arkham Knight, this is what we're gonna get. It's just, how do you go from 3 awesome Batman games to this?
Right. It's kind of, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, that Rocksteady, it's been 8 years, right? Yeah. Since Arkham Knight. What have you been doing this whole time?
It was 2015.
9 years.
June of 2015. Yeah. But it also came out, there were reports saying that Rocksteady was working on a multiplayer game for an original IP before WB came in and basically said, no, you're going to make Suicide Squad. They were also never working on a Superman game, contrary to all the rumors we have heard.
Oh,
again, I don't really know how a Superman game works when you are the most powerful being that has ever existed.
Right.
Speaking of Rocksteady, the co-founders, I didn't write their names, damn it. I can't remember them. If I heard it, I would.
I don't know their names.
But they founded a new studio in London called 100 Star Games. I'm more interested to see what they're making than I am in the Suicide Squad.
Okay.
The DICE nominees were announced. Spider-Man 2 leads with 9 nominations. That shocked me. Alan Wake 2 has 8. Then there's Baldur's Gate 3 all the way down there with only 7. It's just shocking to me. And then Cocoon had 6. I finally saw what Cocoon actually is.
What the hell is that?
It's a cool looking indie kind of puzzle-ish game. And now that I've actually seen it, I'm like, I might want to check that out.
Spider-Man 2, I'm not surprised that it's getting nominated for things, but I also wasn't surprised to see it not win anything at the Game Awards, because I feel like Spider-Man 2 is the kind of game that it's good at everything, but it's not great. It's not the best at anything.
No, and we've already had 2 Spider-Man games, and this didn't change a whole lot. And
right.
I mean, I really like the game. I'm not, crapping on it or anything. I really like it.
I platinumed it, but
yeah, me too.
It probably wasn't one of my top 5 or 6 games last year.
Yeah, I think I had it at I think I had it at 6,
It's no,
just ahead
it's
of
no
Jedi.
Pikmin 4.
Yeah, well, we don't. Yeah, the
It's-
game developer choice awards, which at first I wrote this down because I thought it was the GDC, like the Game Developers Conference Award nominations, but it's not. It's something else. But Zelda and Baldur's Gate tied with 7 nominations each. An Atlas Insider says that Persona 3 Reload and Metaphor ReFantasio are coming to Switch 2 whenever it launches. Those games are not coming to the original Switch, so it would make sense that they're waiting for the Switch
Do
sequel.
we have dates on those yet?
Metaphor ReFantasio, no. Persona 3 Reload, we definitely do. I think it might be February also.
Okay. So if it comes out in February, then yeah. Because if it's the kind of thing of, oh, well, those games aren't coming out until October, and we know that they're going to be launch games for Switch 2 or whatever. Because at this point, we got to know that all the third-party developers know when the thing is coming out.
Yes. Take-Two is suing Remedy over their logo. And I wrote down here, that means they're suing them over the letter R because it looks like the Rockstar R. And I think we just have too many lawyers on this planet.
I heard that they kind of brushed that aside and they were like, no, that's not. I heard that they settled that.
Possibly. I'm not sure. I think the article I was looking at didn't have any updates, but it may just be because they got sick of it. Plants vs. I'm going to fly through these because my dogs are going crazy and I need to figure out what the heck's going on down there. Plants vs. Zombies 3 has soft launched across Europe. I didn't even know this was coming, but the global release is coming later this year.
I am not interested.
My kids are happy. They love the OG Plants vs. Zombies on iPad.
I remember the original one was like a mobile game, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. These are mobile. These are mobile. Yeah. 2K announced they're rebooting Top Spin, which was a beloved tennis game, with Top Spin 2K25, and they said it's coming soon, but they didn't have any any official date.
Probably not going to be as good as Mario Tennis Aces.
No, of course not. Speaking of Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, which was initially viewed as a flop, is now up to $3 million in sales, which is in line with the first game, which was a big success. So good on them that over time,
good, right?
they've gotten up to 3 million sales.
Huh. I wonder. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna move on to the next one.
I wonder if they had a larger budget for the second game, so it still might not be considered a big success. But I really liked the first game. I bought the second game. I've been thinking about it lately. I want to go in and play it, but I haven't. Endless list.
In December, Fortnite playtime on consoles, not even counting PC, beat Call of Duty, EAFC, GTA 5, which means GTA Online, and Roblox combined after they launched the Lego Fortnite, the racing thing, and the music game. Fortnite just continues to baffle my mind. Walmart Canada had a listing for something called a DualSense version 2 or V2.
Oh, I heard about that.
Supposed to have a 12-hour battery life, which is a lot better than the current DualSense, and it will be bundled with a charging station for $89.99. Sony, of course, has not announced this yet, but I think this would be cool. And on my blue DualSense that I love, I've got stick drift on it, so I'm about ready to buy another one.
Do you have one of those charging things?
Yeah, I love it.
We do too. We have 2 of them between Sarah and I. We just have controllers everywhere at this point.
Yeah. I've always keep my controllers charged, but it would be nice. It would be nice if they lasted longer than whatever it is now, 4 hours or something.
Right. I have 2 DualSenses that I use, and then a separate one that I use for remote play. And then she has 2. She has one that came with her console, and then one that she uses for remote play.
Yeah. I got to think this is real. It would make sense to put out a new version of it. So I assume we'll be hearing about this pretty soon.
Right. I don't really think Walmart Canada is in the Sony fanboy fake product design category.
Street Fighter 6, it was announced, has hit 3 million copies sold, but it's interesting because it didn't finish in the top 10, but Mortal Kombat 1 did, and Mortal Kombat 1 came out much later in the year. So apparently that's a good number. I think Street Fighter 5, all told, sold a little bit over 7 million. So I guess 6 was off to a good start. I bought it, and really I only played it when Sean and I did that stream. Until Dawn is getting a movie from PlayStation Productions, which I think that makes sense. I think Until Dawn makes sense for a movie. Of course, you can't do the choose your own adventure stuff, but
yes. But I feel like it's already supposed to be it's already supposed to be like all of like the movie tropes as a video game. Right. So now are we just going to get all of the movie tropes just as a video game as a movie? Yeah. Like
this one I loved because this was announced this past week. The game, it's an 8-bit pixel style game called The Transylvanian Adventure of Simon Quest, which it's coming out 2025. It's Castlevania 2 made by somebody else, and it's just hilarious that they're saying, Konami, I dare you to sue us, because this is such a ripoff. It's hilarious. I want to play this game. I just think it's hilarious. Elder Scrolls Online is getting their next update, The Gold Road, coming out in June. Stalker 2, which somebody drafted, maybe it was Chris, has been delayed from Q1 to September 2024, but I feel like after all the delays it's had, it'll actually hit that date. And of course, they're based in Ukraine, so they've been dealing with a lot of shit over the last year and a half, 2 years. Switch Online is getting Golden Sun and Golden Sun The Lost Age added to its library of GBA games.
Nice. I've seen people pretty excited about that. Have you played those?
No.
I haven't either.
Helldivers 2 is launching February 8th, and it will have PS5 and PC crossplay at launch. I think it had to for this game to have a chance. But curiously, Foam Stars is launching February 6th, so it's 2 days before it. Free on PlayStation Plus for the first month, and then it'll be $30 after that. It is weird. Colin's been talking about this a lot, that he's worried about Helldivers 2. Like, why would you put Foam Stars out for free 2 days before you launch a game that you're publishing? There's been no previews. There's been no talk about it.
It's bizarre, because you would think that internally, if Sony thought that was that big of a deal, like, it's either not a big deal to them, or they feel like their hands are tied. But if is it Square that's doing Foam Stars?
Yes.
If Square is telling them that they have to put Foam Stars on PS Plus, then if it's that big of a deal, just delay Helldivers by a couple months.
Yeah, I mean, you're publishing the game. You can put it out whenever you want.
So that seemed kind of bizarre to me as well. It kind of seems like more evidence that the different departments inside of Sony are not talking to each other.
I just think they're kind of in disarray with Jim Ryan leaving. I still don't think we know why that really happened. We don't know anything coming out except for the Insomniac leaks.
Right.
It's just Wolverine's the only game that's been officially announced. Like, after Helldivers, and that's a second party game. It's not even a first party game. You know, they're publishing it, but they don't own that studio yet. I think if this game does well, they'll probably buy them. But yeah, we'll see. We shall see.
That's it.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for episode 346 of the Two Player Co-op podcast. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, James, for being here. Again, make sure you check out James Games and More on YouTube. Anything else you wanna plug there, buddy?
No, I think that's it. But Kevin, thank you so much for having me. I guess if I'm gonna plug something, please check out some of my Let's Plays have been going up. I had I've been playing through, as we talked about earlier, new Super Luigi U. Those ones are actually doing kind of okay without your help, but please go check out a Let's Play I did of the first Portal. I played it on my Xbox. I only played about 30-45 minutes or so. That I guess people are not searching for that game or something. And then, Kevin, to answer your question from earlier, or your comment from earlier, Chris did draft Stalker 2 in the 6th round of the draft.
I'm good.
I had to look.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you for being here, James. This has
Of
been a lot
course.
of fun. Sean, I hope your cruise sucks.
Me too.
But until the next time, James, go ahead and take us out.
Thank you for playing.